Hey everyone, and welcome to our third episode of Hollywood Hills for the 2022 season. Now, the reason we didn't put out a show last week is because we were smack bang in the middle of the edit for the first round of the EWXCs. That's actually going to be going out on Ignition TV this coming Saturday. And on Saturday, we'll also be dropping it on YouTube, which means next week it'll be out on Hollywood Hills. So it's a bit of a strange situation for us. We wanted to put some big effort into the edits, but now we are ready to come back into studio with you beautiful people. So what went down this weekend? It was the opening round of the GXCCs where they saw an entry of just under 300 riders out at Verena. But just before we went out to the GXCCs, I got a call in the week that there were going to be not one, but two team launches coming into the season on the Friday, the day before the event, and they were bangers as well. The first one being the MCA, now powered by Honda squad, coming out of Moto's Klerksdorp, and of course, the big news that the fact that Harry Grobler was going to be rolling out an absolute juggernaut of a team. Let's start things out with the MCA squad. So after a couple of seasons of racing, and it's now 4 seasons that the MCA squad have been on the gate, racing on the Nationals and the GXCCs, and predominantly on the Husqvarna brand. For this season, Grant and the MCA squad wanted to go for a focused route, and there's been a lot of development in the last couple of years on the Honda brand. So working with Honda South Africa and with one of the main dealers, that is Bo Levy out at Moto's Klerksdorp, they put together the big squad. The whole idea was to get Brawler, Ian Rawle, out of his little bike comfort zone and out onto the big dog. So that was going to be Brawler out onto the OR1s, and unfortunately in a training massive practice crash just 3 weeks before the opening round of the GXCCs, he snapped his femur. He is out for what looks like at least 6 months of the championship. But Brawler is still part of the squad, and they've got bigger, much bigger long-term goals with the Brawler. The rest of the riders that are going to be out on the squad racing on the 250 gate, and it's a classic pick this as well. He is a 2-time champ. Peter Karam is a safe bet to bring home some good numbers, and he showed his form at the opening round at the GXCCs this weekend as well. Karam was able to walk away with a solid number 6 ride, and on the OR3 gate this year, it is an absolutely terrifying gate. There are at least 8 riders that can walk away with the win at each of the rounds. So he's going to be out there on the 250, developing that bike as well, but he already says he's very comfortable on that machine. But watch out for Karam to get a little bit quicker. His little brother, Derek Karam, who's only in his 2nd season on the 125, will be rocking a different machine, but it will be branded in Honda colors as he continues to develop as a standout championship threat in the high school 125s gate. In fact, this weekend, walking away with a 2nd place just shows how tasty he is and how good a rider he is bound to become and follow in his brother's footsteps. But watch out for him to try and chase down the high school 125s this season. And our surprise packages from last season as far as MCA was concerned was Teek Harrower. He was out there on one of the oldest machines on the GXCC gate, racing in sometimes the WOW class or the Pro-Ams on an ancient Honda CR250 Blue Smoker. He got noticed, he got picked up. He is now going to be on the squad. They're just waiting for his new bike to arrive. He was unable to race this weekend, but watch out for Teek Harrower. He should be moving now up into the OR3 Pro gate. Maybe 1 or 2 rides on the Pro-Ams, but definitely a tall rider and a tasty rider to watch out for. Bo Lever will also be rocking out there on a 450, potentially racing in either the OR1 gate or his age group category, which will be the senior gate. But mainly he's out there to look after little Trav. Trav is now moving up into the full 50cc gate. He was a Pee-wee rider last season and the season before. Now he is a full factory on the 50cc gate, and we're going to see what he can do. He actually walked away with the 7th place at the opening round of the GXCCs. The MCA squad is definitely one of those squads to watch out for. They were putting a lot of hope on the Brawler to see what he could do on the big Honda going out onto the OR1 gate, but don't worry, Brawler will be back on the gate possibly towards the latter half of the season, developing and getting ready to go forward into 2023. We wish Brawler the very best of luck and a speedy recovery. It's going to be a long road, but we know he'll be able to bounce back. The MCA squad, though, is a powerhouse squad. They've done a very good thing in the last few years, just condensing, making it a nice small squad. Last year, just a 2-rider squad. This year, 4 to 5 riders, depending on which gates that we talk about and which events we approach. But MCA is definitely a squad to watch for the future, and they are going to be growing, and trying to get those number 1 plates once more. Thanks for Grant for MCA for inviting us down to his facility in Boksburg. That was the first stop on our whirlwind tour that was Friday, where we bagged and tagged 2 or 3 teams, whichever way you look at it. But MCA was our first stop on the calendar. Then I got into the old trusty goon wagon and belted it all the way around the highway from Boksburg up to Montana to catch up with Harry Grobler. He had some big stories to tell me. So Harry Grobler has been a key player in putting together powerhouse squads. 2 seasons he's been running the CIT Franchise Co squad, and it has been growing in leaps and bounds. He had a very good season last year. He walked away with 4 GXCC titles and a national title to boot. He was also one of the guys that was championing the Kawasaki brand, and in fact, he was the only Kawasaki team to walk away with the titles in the cross countries, that is, at least. So for this season, it was no big surprise to hear him talking about Kawasaki's, but the word Honda started to come up as well. So let's explain that in a nutshell. Harry is going to be looking after 2 teams this season. The first team, let's talk about the Kawasaki's. The Kawasaki's is going to be all about Franchise Co CIT TorkCraft Kawasaki's. It's going to be championed by Mikey Pentecost. He is the reigning national and GXCC as well as regional title holder, and for all accounts, he is the dude to beat on every single gate that he lines up on. He's going to be on fire this season, and he came out banging as well. Even at the GXCCs, he dropped it on the 3rd hay bale, but still came through to lead the first lap by well over 2 minutes, and went on to hammer the nail. He took the overall at the opening round of the GXCCs, as well as the championship lead in the northern regions and the club event. So based on that, we are only, I think, 3 weeks away from going forward into the National Cross Country Series. That's going to be at Rhino Park. He is definitely the rider to beat, but it does look like his gate is going to be much harder this season with a lot of key riders lining up, and everyone has upped their game knowing that they've got to chase onto his back wheel. His teammate, as was his teammate last year, but with Mikey on the green machine, Tyrone Beverly was on the Husqvarna. This year, he's had the off-season to develop his riding style around the Kawasaki, and he is still going to be on that big OR1 gate. So they've got 2 chances of big trophies this time around. Beverly also showed his form at Verena, a very solid approach to the event. Great training in the back pocket, and he walked away with number 5. Any rider who can crack a top 10 on this scary gate this season is definitely on the fly. Beverly, watch out for him to possibly try and climb up into the top 3s towards the mid part and end of the season, but 5th place is a rock solid start. On the OR3 gate, the reigning 125 champ, it was Franchise Co that took him to his 125 championship in 2021, and now John Buerta, a bigger, stronger, and definitely more built rider for this season, goes on to the eye-wateringly scary OR3 gate. Johnny Boy walked away with a 5th place. He said he's pretty happy with that. He didn't really know where he was going to be, so now he's got a starting point and a base to build from. John Buerta, OR3s, watch out for him to be on the podiums. And then a former OR3 racer, Vian Wenzel, he is now stepping up full-time into the high school gate. We saw how fast he was at the last round of last year. It was an experiment that the guys actually rolled out from Franchise Co to see how he was going to run, because he's been on the 250s for 2 seasons now. He went straight back onto the 125, smashed the win. They said, right, Wenzel, you are on the 125 for the season. And at Verena this weekend, he walked away with the win. So he is possibly going to give Franchise Co and the Kawasaki guys their back-to-back championship situation. He's the points leader going into round 2. For the ladies, interesting situation. Shady Grobler, she is our reigning Pro-Am ladies champ from the 2021 championship season. So now she gets kicked out. She's got to run pros the whole way through 2022. So The first round was going to be a tough ask for her. The pace was definitely going to be bigger and the pressure was going to be higher, but she absorbed it quite nicely and was able to walk away with a 4th place finish in the pro gate. So that is going to be her entire season, where she's going to be chasing up into 3rd place. She wasn't that far off Colin Nibua as well. So watch out for Shady to try and taste podium champagne in the pro ladies gate. The rest of the riders as we go down the queue in this incredible Franchise Co CIT TorkCraft Kawasaki team is a big story, because there are 9 riders on the green machines. Jaden Else, who's our reigning 65cc champ, moves up into the junior 85s, and at the first time of asking was able to get a number 2 ride going. Mealy's LaRue, that's Carl LaRue, still racing in the Masters, comfortable on his Kawasaki machine. 2nd place, he's going to be a long championship burner. Dion van der Merwe, a very interesting story here. Historically, 2 seasons now on the Pro-Am OR2 gate. He's now moving up into OR2 Pro, but he's also developing an interesting bike. They've taken the 250KX and they've big bought it. So he's now running a 280 machine, and he's going to be doing a ton of development on that bike to see if they can get what they need out of it. 280 Kawasaki, interesting, and a very good man for the job as well. It's going to be fun to see him develop that bike and get faster. He was still able to walk away with a 9th place ride at the opening round as he starts to get this bike better and better. And then little Gendre for Mark, racing in the senior 85s, comfortable on the team, comfortable with everyone around him, very comfortable on the Kawasaki machine on the 85s, 3rd place on that big gate. It is a stacked squad, and that is just half of Harry's interest this time around. Remember, it was all about 1 squad last year. This season, a little bit of green and a sprinkling of red. 9 riders out of the Kawasaki gate, but let's talk about the Hondas. A 6-rider squad coming out of what will now be known as the SleepOver CIT TorkCraft Honda squad. Wade Blau is definitely the headliner on this squad. He's going to be stepping onto the 450 machine. He's been on orange machinery a very, very long time, certainly since his comeback ride, which is now 5 seasons ago, and he is a multiple senior national, regional, and club champion. On this first event, unfortunately, mechanicals not of his or the bike's making. He got a fence wrapped up in the back wheel, jammed up, could not get that thing going, had to do the walk of shame home. So he's only getting points for 13th place. So he's starting on the back foot, but watch out for Wade. He's definitely going to be taking wins and podiums for the rest of the season. Gareth Cole and Hayden Cole. Now this is a story because the KZN kids are historically great down in KZN, but now they're going on the move. They're going to be hitting the full national championship tour once again as brothers, as part of this big SleepOver CIT TorkCraft Honda squad. And it's going to be Gareth racing in the OR1 450s. It's his first season on the 450s. He's a former national title holder in the 350s, and he showed that the big bike don't scare him nothing. He's on the big 450 CRF, and it was 2nd place out of the gate at Verena. And Hayden Cole, Gareth's younger brother, is going to be attacking into the OR3s, which means he's on the CRF 250. He has never raced the GXCCs, but he's shown incredibly good form at the national categories over the last couple of seasons. 3rd place on his first ever GXCC. I think he surprised himself and a couple of other people, so he's definitely bringing home some bacon, and he'll be comfortable to travel on the circuit with his butt as well, all the way up from KZN. KZN guys are coming up to the GXCCs more and more, and that's a real good situation. For the ladies, it's been Leah Haygate the whole way through last season on a privateer entry. Harry had to go grab her. He definitely wanted to go after a champion and repeat a championship. So Leah jumps onto the 250. She's going to be racing on the ladies pro gate as well as racing on the national and regional tour for motocross, and she hammered the nail once again. Whole shot and the first win. She's still the lady to beat, and she'll look for yet again another golden championship to try and go undefeated once more in 2022. Staying with the ladies, Danelle Delport, 2021 was her first ever season racing anything, and she got better and better as the season went on. She actually finished inside of the top 3 in the Pro-Am ladies, and now she takes her first win at the opening round of the GXCCs. She is the lady to beat, and she's looking to nail down her first ever big number 1 plate. So Danelle looks super comfortable. In fact, even more comfortable on the Honda this season than she was on previous equipment. In the junior side of things, it's Liam Skierpers who's going to be waving the flag for Honda. He rocked it out there in the 65s and pulled the pin on a number 7 ride. So we've got a lot of crews out there, different machines, but all under Harry Grobler. He is the main guy rocking and rolling, but he's looking after 9 riders on the Kawasaki side. That's riding out of Franchise Co, CIT TorkCraft Kawasaki, and the SleepOver CIT TorkCraft Hondas, 6 riders. 15 riders all in all. It is a juggernaut of a squad, and that was our intro to possibly 2/3 of the powerhouse squads in 2022. It was great to go out there and see the guys at the launch as well as out at the track. Now we turn our attention to the next event on our calendar list. Next week on Hollywood Hills, we'll show you what went down 2 weeks ago at the EWXCs, and now we get ready for Farm Jam. For us here at Hollywood Hills and LiveX, Farm Jam is going to be a massive deal this season. We're rocking on the mic once more. I'll be out there, and I'm taking a 3-man squad. We're going to be pulling big numbers on the production side to make sure that everyone gets their big high five. We can't wait to see you guys out there on the line. It's bound to be a rock and roll of an event. Isiala Lodge was the opening round from last season, but they have opened up the track much wider, made it much more flowy, much cleaner, so it's going to be an even bigger, even better event than last year. Get those entries in on www.farmjam.co.za, and we will see you guys out there. We've got 2 weeks to go. There's Valentine's Day in the middle. Don't spend all your bucks on flowers and chocolate. Keep some for some fresh tires and moose, and we'll see you guys out there at Isiala Lodge for Farm Jam. Round number 1.